Okay, so on our first installment, we went through QBOT V3 and we did the basic pattern quilting for blocks and edge to edge. Yesterday, we delved a little bit deeper with QBOT V3 and we went into line quilting and then applique echo. And today we're going to dedicate to the features that set V3 Pro aside from regular QBOT V3. Now, I want everybody to know that the hardware for QBOT V3 and V3 Pro is identical. So if you buy QBOT V3 and download from the Google Play Store the QBOT V3 basic app, that's great. And if you, at any time you want to get into the V3 Pro app, it's just another download from the Google Play Store or from the Amazon App Store. So all of the features you see today, I'm using V3 Pro. In our previous two installments, the one from Tuesday and Wednesday, that was just the base V3 app. Okay, so let me start up my tablet here and get QBOT V3 Pro started up, and we will connect to the hardware. One of the things that there were some comments in the chats from our previous installments was, how is it connected? And it is a Bluetooth connection, so it's wirelessly connected. And you might see some wires here right now coming out. That's just a charging cable and the HDMI cable, which is going through so you can see the tablet screen. Okay, so it's a wireless connection. On the Moxie setup we have, it also comes with the tablet stand that mounts to the top of the machine. Some machines we have a tablet mount, some machines we don't. Because it's wireless, the tablet can just sit on the quilt. But let's get right into some of the most frustrating things you can run into if you're a quilter. So if you're bringing in work from other quilters, or maybe you had an unfortunate circumstance with one of your own quilts and piecing, one of the things that is extremely frustrating to me is when you have an edge to edge or a border where the boundary is not exactly perfect. And then you fit in a design and you can tell immediately that it was robotically quilted. I alluded to this yesterday. So let's look at this right now. Here, if you can see on my needle cam, I have purposely put in a boundary that is a little bit wonky. And let me go through there and you can see that boundary is wonky, but the design is perfect. And you see this gap here? It's not great. And then it's tight up there. Well, what if there were a way to just automatically compensate for that? And there is. And I'll just pull this away. And we have a feature in V3 Pro called Smart Fit. And what Smart Fit does is once you've selected the boundary and placed your design, you press that Smart Fit button and it automatically changes the and scales the design differently as it's going across the quilt. So let's just make that happen. So I have a blank space here on my canvas, and we're going to do that right now. We're going to quilt an identical piece to show you how easy that is. So what we do is we just select our points. Now, in the previous demonstrations, I've been selecting only 4 points for a boundary, or maybe 6 points or something like that. Now, I need to capture what that boundary curvature is. So I'm going to go around and I'm going to be very careful to take my points like every 3/4 of an inch to an inch, just so that I can get the curvature of the boundary captured. Now I'm going down my edge. And we can pretend that either this is an edge to edge, or this is an inner boundary or a sashing strip that's kind of wonky. A lot of times this happens in the sashing strips because the blocks are, you can have all kinds of things, bias blocks and just it's sewn together well, but then when it's you load up the quilt top thing, you try to ease it with your hands, but it still ends up just a little bit all over the place. So, all right, so I've selected my boundary. I say done, and we're not going to do an inner boundary shape. We did that yesterday, and you can see on the screen that, yep, it's pretty curved. That doesn't look so great. So let's go in, we'll choose our design. I'm going to do this button flower design again. Let me scroll to it, and I'll just pick it here. And okay, it's in there. Now I'm going to modify it so that it's within the boundary. So it's within it, and I'll chain it just like I did yesterday. You can see that, oh boy, you know, that boundary is really messed up, because if you looked at the left-hand side, it's okay, and you look at the right-hand side, it's pretty close to the end. So it's pretty wonky looking. So what we're going to do is we're going to press this button in the upper left called Smart Fit. We just click that, and now we have the chance to do enter in a margin. So this is the margin, the distance between the edge of the quilt and the quilt design. I'm going to choose a 0.150 because I like that. And look, it automatically skews and stretches that design to be the correct size. Now, if you look at the left-hand side and the right-hand side, you can see it doesn't look that great there. Well, the vertical boundaries pose a mathematical issue that QBOT solves, and this is the way it solves it. But have no fear. Just press the proportional button, so it's non-proportional scaling, and we'll stretch it out just a bit with our fingers. Ever so slightly, maybe a little bit too much there. Just a little bit more, like that. And then I'll nudge it over, nudge it up. Oh, just a little bit more. Just a little stretch. There we go. And now those weird sections are outside the boundary. Then all we do is trim to the boundary, say OK, and done. And now it's trimmed and looks great. We move to the start. And we're going to quilt that out. Let's see, I'll pull up my bobbin thread and press go. And there we go. All right. So we're going to watch that quilt out a little bit. And as that's quilting out, I want to show some examples. Yesterday, I had an example, or there was a comment about a satin stitch, and I was talking about how we would do a satin stitch with the applique stitch. And then I referenced doing a crosshatch and doing very fine crosshatch, and it ends up like darning. And that's what that looks like. I showed this on the first day, and I can bring it in a little bit. We'll just focus just a bit so you can see that. And it's just like darning. It's a pretty cool feature of the crosshatch. And while it's quilting, I also wanted to show one of the things we want to do with QBOT is we want to keep the creative juices going. So feel free to play with metallics. You know, here's a block with metallic thread, and it would be really great on a pillow or some kind of home deck item. It really shows, you know, you can see that shimmer, and these machines are great. They can use metallic thread without any problem, and you can quilt with it. We were talking yesterday about the Irina Bloom. Well, we weren't talking about Irina Bloom, but these are Irina Bloom designs and the precision. This is just amazing. That would be, even a professional would be hard pressed on, you know, on their best day. I'm sure they could do this. This would be great. But the way we do this with QBOT, we just select 4 points, put the design in here, and press go. It's that simple. Here's another one. Very simple. Just like that. It's great. Another Irina Bloom is here with the with the circles inside, which is really, really hard to do. And it shows, you know, this design has some back tacking in it as well. And it shows the precision of QBOT. So back to where we're quilting now, you can see that what we're getting done here is it's going along fine. It's creating the proper distance between the boundaries. And we don't see the fact that it's robotically quilted anymore. What we see is something that has been stretched and skewed perfectly so that when the human eye looks at this quilt, it's not drawn to the imperfection, it's drawn to the design and the overall flow. Because if we did not have a design in this top row, for instance, you'd kind of barely notice that. You would allow it, your mind would correct for it. But as soon as you put something perfect in it, then it becomes apparent that there's something off. So by having the Smart Fit involved, and by using Smart Fit, we make sure that your mind's eye doesn't pick up on it. All right, so this is just about finished up. When we get to the end here, we will pull up our bobbin thread so that we don't have any stray threads on the back of the quilt. And then we'll go on to the next feature of V3 Pro, which is kind of cool. And that is an updated version of 4-point quick scale. So here you see in my block here, let's do some neat 4-point quick scale with an echo that's built in. So 4-point quick scale, let's go in there. We're going to use our offset. So again, I'm choosing my points using my little laser light, and I follow what I see on the screen in the upper left, and it says choose quilting area, choose upper right. So I'm going to choose my upper right point, and then my lower right point, upper left, and lower left. And let's put in a design. We're going to put in, let's go back to our blocks and quilt something that is intricate enough but quick enough to show. We're going to put in a margin here. This is a new, in V3 Pro, we have this box that says margin/gap. This is the margin or gap around the design to the boundary. So I know what's coming next. So I'm going to say, let's put a 3/4 inch margin around that design. And there it is. So now we're ready to move to the start point. I'm going to pull up our bobbin thread again. And press go. Now where we're going with this is we're going to quilt this out, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do an echo around it at the same time. And then after that, we're going to do another echo around from the border, and we'll show you how quick and easy this is with V3 Pro. If we were using the regular version of QBOT V3, we would have had to select the points inside the boundary, 3/4 of an inch, to get this effect, which is okay, but if you're off just a little bit, then maybe things wouldn't go so well when you tried to do the next step. So by having a defined boundary around here, and then putting in that 3/4 inch gap, it makes sure that that's placed 3/4 of an inch away. So we're done with the basic design. Pull up our bobbin. And now we have our buttons on the left-hand side. We're going to choose Echo. So we're going to put an echo around this. And let's do a 1/4 inch echo. We're looking at the left-hand pane, just marching down all of the choices. We'll do a 1/4 of an inch echo. Let's do round corners because that'll smooth things out. And instead of a spiral, let's do concentric. Instead of doing 4, let's just do 1. So we'll type in 1. And that looks good. So let's say done and move to start. So for this echo, we didn't have to do any kind of math. We didn't have to choose any points to do, say, a line quilting around it. We just chose the echo button and it immediately does this nice echo. So we're back at the beginning. That didn't take long at all. And we'll pull up our bobbin thread one more time. Now, let's pretend that this is a real block. So we'll exit from here. Let's pretend this is a real block and we want to put in a 1/4 inch echo around the block itself. So maybe it's, instead of stitching the ditch, it's going to be on this quilt, we're going to stitch on either side of the ditch. And that's kind of a handy thing to do. It's an idea to do. If the ditches are a little bit wobbly, you just stitch inside a little bit and it'll look better than an imprecise stitch in the ditch. It'll look nicer to have that broken out just inside. So same thing, we're going to go to our new 4-point quick scale, or the Pro version of 4-point quick scale. Choose our upper right. Choose our lower left. Choose our upper left, upper right, upper left, lower left. And we're going to go into our basic shapes for our design. We'll put in a square and we're going to put in a boundary margin of 1/4 of an inch. And there is our echo. Pull up the bobbin and press go. And just that simple, first we did an echo around the design, and now we're doing an echo around inside on the block. So we're done with that one. And now we can move on to the next feature I'd like to show. And it is text quilting. Every now and then, it's nice to have a little bit of text on your quilt, whether it's a date, whether it's a simple word, whatever. Sometimes it's really nice. And usually you would have to go to a big software program and type that in and then make a quilt design and then quilt it out. So what we're going to do instead is just press our text quilting button and we're going to generate that text. So let's do fun, because this is fun. And there it is. And we have several fonts that are built in. So Script, Sign Painter, Comic Book, and Futura. you can see what the different fonts look like. That one's kind of fun. I like that one. I like that. So now you notice we have the F, the U, and the N, but that U, the tail of the U, is going into the N. Well, we have a button for that, and it's called Remove Overlap. We press that, and it cuts that out, and now we can quilt this out. But first, we just have to save it. So in text quilting, we're creating patterns. So let's just say that this is fun. Say OK, and it's saved. So good. Now we just go back, and we go back into pattern quilting. And what we can do, let's see, let's set our points around the boundary. So we set our points. I'll do one in the middle of each line, even though I know that these lines are pretty straight because they were stitched from a straight line in a file, but it's good practice, good habit to get into. We say done. No inner boundary shape, and then we look at our saved patterns, and we pull in our fun right here, and there it is. Let's modify it, make it a little bit smaller. There we go. So now we say done, and move to start. And we'll press go again. It's really kind of cool when you can choose any font. In text quilting, you can choose any font. If you have a true type font that you like, you can install that true type font. There's a button that says install new font. You just install your font into QBOT, and then you're ready to go. So I'm going to just ease up my thread there, and we're going to continue. And I will trim that after I get a few stitches in this next section. So this is going to cover up or finish out the word. And this is really kind of neat. I've got something I did in Houston in 2016. This is for here, this was a big deal. Maybe for a big deal for every Cubs fan across the world, but Cubs win, Cubs win. And you can see quilted this out, and then we have the cross hatching actually in there too, and little snowflake design down there too. So, but here, so we did Cubs win, and then the date right here. Pretty cool. Now, the last feature I want to show is tailored to people who do a lot of edge-to-edge quilting. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use our designer feature. Now, I'll get it all set up. Maybe we may run out of time for the actual quilting, but we'll get it all set up and we'll get it started to quilt. I chose the designer feature, and I'm going to design on the quilt. I'm going to choose my boundary. So you can see there, I'm just going to choose my boundary, and I'll be pretty quick about it. And I'm going to do some edge to edge. Now in QBOT V3, we do one edge to edge at a time, overlay, modify, go back to the beginning, and quilt it out. What we're going to do here is we're going to build a section's worth of edge to edge. So we're going to go back and forth as many times as we can in our throat space, which is a real time saver, especially if you know your machine, you've got a good bobbin, and you're not going to break a lot of thread. There's some quilters out there that leave things unattended. I do it on occasion. Sometimes it ends up badly, but sometimes, you know, if everything's going well, it's a great time saving. So I've chosen my boundary, and I'm going to put in a couple of edge-to-edge designs. It's actually the same edge-to-edge design twice. There's one, there's two. I pull up my tray, and now I'm gonna say done because that's all I'm gonna put in. I'm gonna, down in the tray, I'm selecting between the two identical designs. I'm gonna scale this to, let's go to 55%. You can see that one there. Nice. Now we'll move to the other one and we'll scale that one to 55%. How I know that percent is that I've practiced on this. You may need to go back and forth. And I'm going to set up my edge to edge. So there's the top, the bottom one, and then I'll nudge this one and get the spacing correct. Now, all I have to do is chain the top one, and I will move it over a little bit. Take the bottom one, move it over a little bit. I'm going to chain it as well. Get the spacing right. Chain, chain. But on the bottom one, I'm going to reverse the path. So now it's going to quilt that first one from left to right. And then it's good. The second one, the bottom one, is set up to go from right to left. So then I'm going to trim it to the boundary. Okay, done. Now we have a selection for linking. I want to link it with a straight line. Now that's one design, and you can see the green dot on the left, that's the start, and the red dot on the left below it. And now I'm going to go straight into quilting because I think my time is a little bit close now, but we'll get this going before we hand it off to Blaine. Needle down, needle up, and get that going. So press go. So just that easy. We've created the design in Designer, linked it together, put another one underneath it, reversed the path, linked it, trimmed it, and it's going to quilt out from left to right, go down, and quilt from right to left. So that's pretty much all of the new features in QBOT V3 Pro. And I wanted to, there were also some questions while this is going on. There were some questions about what is the QBOT, because the splash screen that we show is this white thing. Well, what's in the box? I will show you what's in the box. What's in the box is the QBOT head, and on the Moxie, it's mounted on the back. That's why we haven't seen it. What you see is the tablet, which the user provides. Any Android tablet that has Android 5.0 or greater, we recommend a larger screen just because it's easier to navigate. And something with a very good battery is very good. And something with about 8 gig of RAM, 32 or 64 gig of disk space. But you have the QBOT, our drive assemblies, all the wiring and drive wires and installation hardware. It also comes with installation disc for the frame you have. If you have certain frames, they have videos. Certain frames have paper instructions, and then all of the tutorial videos come on a CD or DVD. They're also available on YouTube. We have a playlist for that, and Shelly can bring that up for you right now. So there you see our playlist, and you can start here and you see all of the different features that we have. Another question we get is, well, what tablet should I get? I'll tell you that all of these tablets have run QBOT V3 and V3 Pro. Size, we've gone from very small, 7-inch or 6-inch tablet. It's not the greatest when you're trying to navigate menus, but it works, all the way up to, the standard 9 or 10-inch tablet, which it basically is really the perfect size. So, Blaine, that's all I have for today. If there's any questions out there.
Well, hey, David, I think there was a couple questions, and Kyle, do we have those questions? So one of them says, can you upgrade from the regular to the Pro?
Okay, there is, so from regular QBOT V3 to the QBOT V3 Pro, it's just a different app in the App Store. That's all it is. So in the App Store, our current pricing, now this is on YouTube, and it'll be there forever, but the current pricing as of this date in time, The regular app is $14.99, and the Pro app is $299.99 or $299. So that's the difference. So it's the same kind of thing. You just download it, just like any app on your phone. You just download your app to the tablet. Any updates, any bug fixes, anything, any new features for each of those apps, we upload to the Google Play Store, and it's automatically comes to you.
Okay,
it uses
great.
the same hardware.
All right, and then another question is, they want to know what machines this will work on.
What machines? Shelly will bring up the compatibility list. So we support all machines from the mid-arms. So that would be the Juki TL98 series, TL98E. So that's an older Juki, but that TL series that are the 9-inch throated machines. Similar to that are the Janome 1600 and Viking Mega Quilter, FOF Grand Quilter, and HQ Handy Stitcher, maybe it is. Then we also have the Brother 1500 and so forth. Now, those machines, those machines do need to be stitch regulated. So we have the Quilter's Cruise Control for those. So that Quilter's Cruise Control is a stitch length regulator add-on to those machines. Then, so those are the mid-arm machines. Then you have all of the longer, loose group, but long arm machines, which is the Moxie, is probably the smallest of the long arm machines. And that goes all the way up to Gamels at 30 inches that we have QBOT on Gamels at 30 inches and 14 feet. So that's a pretty good range.
It sure is. And one more question, David. Can you import designs that you already own?
Yes. So if you have designs that are PLT format, so the QBOT reads two designs. One is .4QB and the other one is .PLT. So if you own design packages, say you have another system and you ordered a design package that came with, you know, QLI and I think HQX and all those different extensions, but PLT is one of them, then you have the design. We did get a question in the chat yesterday. Can I use an embroidery design, a single line embroidery design? And the answer is probably not. And the reason why is that embroidery files place stitches. So there's a point for every stitch. And it's really not a continuous line. And we've had users that have tried that, in the QBOT will start and stop at every stitch, and it's painful. So so that you would need to get true quilting designs, vector files.
Hey, great, David. Well, hey, I think that wrapped up all of our questions. And what we want to do is we're going to show everybody how they can get this thing.